Hey everybody, this is Mike and welcome to Lovecraft and Back. We are here with another bonus episode for our intro. It is basically going to be us breaking down each of the creators and just talking about their backgrounds, talking about what they have done for the Lovecraft universe, and, just give you a little background on both of them, all three of them, and just keep it cool. Aaron, would you like to start us off?
Mr. H.P. Lovecraft, come up to the stand.
Yes.
Let's talk about Howard Phillips Lovecraft. He was essentially the godfather of all of, this gothic cosmic horror, which is a incredible, subgenre within horror. I feel like everyone and their mother knows about his work, even if they don't read him. He mostly wrote poems that turned into the concepts of these larger than life creatures that were attacking Middle America, and just very simple things. And you can see all of his influences in like Ridley Scott or Guillermo del Toro. Like it's absolutely there. But we'll get into another very interesting tidbit later that is very unfortunate and controversial to a lot of fans of his. But I would say for me personally, most of my relationship with H.P. Lovecraft is seeing the influences he had on modern media, mostly like video games and cartoons and other comics, different things. I never really read his material. I think I've read like one full-on poem, which was Nyarlathotep back in high school, but I was never really interested in his work as so much as I was in the whole idea of cosmic horror. And I know a lot of people, built up his essentially extended universe, if you will, of cosmic horror. But, just from, research, I can see he was a very flawed man. He was a very brilliant man. It's a lot like, say, Walt Disney or, some of the other creative geniuses that have shaped, modern media. But that's kind of my take on Mr. H.P. Lovecraft. What about you, Mike?
For me with HP, because even when the show was announced, I didn't know who HP Lovecraft was until I started actually researching about him, and then figuring out who he was, and then finding out that he is this American writer who has made this, basically put his imprint in horror. And like a lot of people, like he does have a big following and everything. And to see that a lot of people were inspired by him, Ridley Scott, Stephen King, those are big names. And to see that they were inspired by his creativity, and they were inspired to do more things and be creative with their own stories that they came up with. So, but more research, I found out that, he did have this, it is bad, but, he had his tropes where he was, I guess you could say a racist. And it was sad to find that out because, when you have this big following and, you're like, why would you feel like that? And then I read one of the poems and it said, some things, and I was just like, wow, he really, he was that type of person. He was that guy. But I don't take away that his creativity, because personality versus creativity, he's been, an imprint to the horror genre, but it doesn't take away from the feelings that he had. So I think for me, that was like the takeaway where I was like, dang, didn't know this would be about, this would come from you, but it is what it is at that time in this time frame. So, but I think that's the only thing that was but like I said, he has inspired many people to write their own horror things and, continue to be successful in their genre. So,
yeah, he is like I said, he just is a very flawed individual, like most of creators and fiction writers. These are still people, and at some point, you have to separate the creator from the content that they've created. And it's just, he's absolutely a product of his time. um and I think that's what makes Lovecraft Country, the series, even more interesting, because it kind of flips, all of the essentially racist rhetoric that was throughout his material, and it's kind of, showing this ugly mirror of how it affects, its main characters, which are all Black Americans.
Yeah.
And it just, yeah, I don't see that happening often. And you can look at like some of the old comic books or some of the old cartoons. None of them take that racist imagery and just turn it on itself. And that's why, like I said in the previous episode, this is a very important series, just because it's, this is not something that Black Americans or Black viewers in general, any melanated viewers, let me just say it like that, they're not used to seeing us, represented in cosmic horror.
Yeah.
And, that says a lot about, the society we live in, but it's like, this is a very interesting thing. And you can thank, writer Matt Ruff.
Exactly.
You can thank him for, wanting to go ahead and take that chance. But it's like, the television series, it takes it to a whole other level. We're going to get into that later, why, but it takes it to a whole other level that I think the book, Lovecraft Country, just kind of scratched the surface on. And trust me, it scratched a very intense surface. So for anybody who hadn't read the book, trust me, you need to read this.
Yeah, the book is since we own Matt, like, to see him flip the narrative of how HP was, how he was like his totes, and how he was just that person with his views and everything, and how he wrote things and about Blacks and other races, and to see Matt take it and make Lovecraft Country and turn it into this, this Black family being able to, give them this opportunity to, have this storyline and, give them the whole supernatural and horror genre feel, because we don't get a lot of people of color stories with horror and supernatural. So the fact that he based it with that, and then with me researching about him, his first little story that he wrote was almost like a soap opera. And as I was reading the book and then seeing the show, I can see that he has that soap opera feel in his writing, because everything is almost dramatic. Everybody is going through something. Everybody is going through a trial and tribulation, and you get to see that character go through something and see them elevate themselves and see them, move up to the next level. And I appreciate Matt Ruff. He has inspired me to continue with what I'm writing and, just stick my head focused on what I'm trying to bring to life. So I do appreciate him for what he's done with Lovecraft. And then to see it now come to life with Misha, it's just amazing. It really is.
Yeah. I would say, seeing as we're both writers, I can definitely attest to the fact that, Matt, just his whole story, just how he created Lovecraft, Country, and just any other, books. Because I actually read one of his books back in the day when I was in high school. I think it was Bad Monkeys. And
oh, that's going to be a series.
Yeah, he's very, I wouldn't say divisive, but he's very poetic with how he kind of likes to shock you in terms of what he does, because I really like the fact that he'll place, these characters who, you would see, you'd see these tropes in everything. You'd have the hard ass. You'd have, the person who, is just waiting for, their, knight in shining armor, but there'd always be like something wrong within, this universe, and it's usually an alternate universe. And like he takes, these rules that we have in society and he flips them on us. And it's like we still, like you'll have racism in Lovecraft Country, and we all, still see this unfortunately to this day. But it's like you add monsters into the mix. Like nobody does that.
Yeah.
That's a very, unique, unique taste that only comes from a unique mind. Like Matt Ruff, he is definitely one of the greats in the make. Just like when he, God forbid, because we never know when we decide to leave this place, but who knows? We might have a pill at some point where we can live forever. Like Matt is right there with, he surpasses Stephen King in my book in terms of taking concepts and just adding a whole new element. Like this is
right.
We can get him all day, but like Matt Ruff, he's come to our podcast, sir. Let's interview. Like we can do this. It'd be amazing.
It would be amazing because like I think what it is that the fact that you took what HP had and then turned it into this, this whole nother world, and then to call it Lovecraft Country. So you're basically like you're in Lovecraft, like in his genre and in his whatever he made, and you're in it. And I think it's just amazing what he did with it. And with us continuing, I think we can go ahead and talk about Misha and her being the creator of the HBO Max series right now. And I'm like, I'm gonna try not to geek out too much, but like when I first saw the trailer, I was like, oh, this is gonna be good. Like, but when I saw that first episode, I was like, oh my God, like they're touching on things like that are like, it's just like I said, Sundown Towns for me, like I feel like I knew about it, but actually seeing it on the episode and seeing what those characters were going through, I was like, oh wow, this is real stuff. Like this is some real shit that happened. Like, and I was just, like I said, I was amazed. It made me go, research about Sundown Towns. It made me, educate myself more on the subject because I felt like I knew about it, but seeing that visual of it, it made me want to know more about it so I could be more, like I said, educate myself more on it. So I appreciate the show now for that. And I feel like every episode I'm being educated about something, I'm being inspired about something, it's teaching me about what would happen to us as people, like, our brothers and sisters before us, like, it's really real. And to see that, and then, like you say, throw monsters in it, like the end of episode 1, like, I can't wait till we talk about it. But to have that little piece where it's like they're all standing around with the flares, and then the monsters are all like, I don't know, like that was giving me Jurassic Park. Like it was really, really, really good. So, it was exciting to see that, but it's also for me as well. Like I said, it's knowledgeable to know the seriousness of what was happening in this time frame. So,
yeah, I would definitely like to pick up on how Misha, approached the whole concept of Sundown Towns because unlike you, I knew about them, growing up because unfortunately for all of our listeners, I live in a kind of black hole of old school southern ways. So I have, you grow up, hearing about these things, and I'm certain I've passed Sundown Towns, but just kind of seeing it, play out, so real, not as dramatic because we can go, further when we talk about the episode, but it's just the way Misha and all of the other writers, handled the tension, and I think that's something that it wasn't as, this big, dramatic, fantastical 12 Years a Slave type, boohoo fest. This is like, very serious and staunch. And you don't get that in modern depictions of, you know, like, sort of pre-post Jim Crow era stuff. And I really do, tip my hat to her because when I was listening to Misha talking, from an interview in 2018, she talks about how her whole focus is just the genre of storytelling from a Black American perspective. That's her only, focus. And I'm like, I commend her 100% for that because she goes into the whole idea of like survival and what realistically we would do in these moments of fight or flight. And you can see even in some of her previous work like Underground, these, all of her characters, they decide, you know is there a time to fight or is there a time of flight? And it's a healthy dose of, both of these decisions. And I really do love just, if we're going, keep it with Lovecraft Country, I love how she uh really didn't care about HP the man or his work because of, his racist past, basically.
Right.
She focuses only on Matt's book for, for the most part. And I really think that's interesting and and you still have references from HP's work in the, in the material, but like that's, she is Misha, come to the podcast.
She's top tier already. I give her that. Like she's top tier. As you saying, with you reading, you listening to her interviews. I was reading an article about her and just seeing like one of the questions was like, when did you fall in love with sci-fi? She said aliens, and I was like, that's dope because I love aliens as well. So she was like, it was so crazy to see this happening, and it was an intense feeling for her, and she was emotionally attached to the characters and, the storyline. So to see her doing this now, I can tell that she really enjoys what she do. And she really wanted it to be, like she said, a big fucking show. And that's what it is. Like, it is a huge show already. Like, just the visuals, the storyline, the whole social issues that she's talking about. Like, I'm so ready to like get into each episode because each episode is different. I mean, it intertwines with each other, but they're all different. But it's a beautiful picture that she's creating, like this beautiful storyline. Like it's amazing. So I think she's top tier already. I love the fact that she partnered up with Jordan Peele and JJ Abrams. And it's so to see JJ with the sci-fi and then Jordan with the whole, horror and everything, to see these three come together, almost like three titans, basically, because they all come from different, genres and everything. And to see them actually come together and bring this whole storyline to life, it's amazing because the horror elements are there with Jordan Peele and his team. Like, they're automatically there. And it's quite frightening because like those episodes would be really good, but then sometimes it'll get like a jump scare and I'm just like, whoa, like, yeah, that's amazing. But it's just really good to see this actually come to life. And like I said, I've enjoyed every episode. I can't wait till we get into like it's a lot of episodes that I can't wait to get into and break down, but it's gonna be fun breaking them down.
Yeah, definitely. I think we have to absolutely take a moment to talk about Jordan Peele too, because you brought up a really good point. Just the whole idea, because I remember when Jordan Peele was on Mad TV. Like, I remember when he was still a comedian, just seeing him, go from being on a sketch comedy series and all the way up to, doing what he's doing now with horror and, the concept of horror mixed with race, like that is so interesting. It's very, very similar. His style is very similar to Alfred Hitchcock. And I am a Jordan Peele fanatic because we can sit and talk about Get Out and Us forever. Definitely looking forward to Candyman. I hope this doesn't date.
Yeah, I'm ready for Candyman myself.
But like, I commend Jordan for giving Misha a chance to adapt this work that's just something completely different. We have never had, and when I say we, I'm talking about Black Americans. Like we've never had a very out there cosmic horror type show or film.
Every time you say cosmic, I think about this last episode every time. Like like every time you say cosmic, I'm like, God, I can't wait to talk about that. That episode was beautiful. That's all I'm gonna say right now. Episode, what's that, 8 or 7 was beautiful. Like that episode was whew. Yeah.
And the fact that you even say it's beautiful, like that shows the diversity within the series. Like you can have one episode that's like super, intense and like horror. It's like there's a whole episode that's like an old school ghost story. Then you have an episode where it's just truly beautiful. It's moving. Like I remember the episode that you're talking about. I remember actually, being just moved. Like I'm sitting back watching it. I didn't shed a tear, but like I'm just like, wow, this is that is, these are concepts that just you don't see with these type of, actors and actresses. Like you don't have that. And that is a testament of this show and the material. Like,
yeah, the material is there. Just be ready.
It is there.
Material is there, like all there. That's good. Yeah. So I think we can go ahead and just do some closing remarks. We appreciate y'all for coming out and listening to this 000 episode. We just want to really talk about the creators and, just give a little info on each one of them and just tell what we feel about when we've researched about them and just tell how we, what we've got from them and everything like that. Just to see these creators and see what they've done it's amazing. So we are super excited to continue. And with our next episode, we will break down the first episode of the season, and we might touch on the book as well, just to see what things that we can pull from the book that happened in the first episode as well. Anything you want to say, Aaron?
I'm excited. That's all I can say. I'm excited to really dive into this series. We can just walk around in circles talking about how great these creators are, but just this is a really great series, and I'm so excited to talk about it.
Yes, it's gonna be amazing. So we do have a Twitter page. You can follow us at Twitter at it's all acronyms. Can you say the acronyms? Because I almost forgot.
Yes, it is, and I quote, is at LCB POD. That is LCB Pod. You can find us there. You can find the whole Twitter page there. Just up and coming. And I am, I think I can speak for, the ones that run it to say that if you follow us, you're going to love it.
Oh,
you will truly love it. That includes you, Misha, because I know you're going to be, looking through this thing. Like you're gonna love us.
Yeah,
so I'm excited.
Well, we appreciate y'all for coming out and listening to us, and we're gonna wrap it up, and we will see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.